Okay, so this is off subject a little bit,
Oh,
but
sure.
what advice would you give people right now during this time? Because a lot of people are freaked out and panicked all over the world. What's your advice to the people?
Wait for it.
Uh-oh.
Just wait for it. So, look, we're pretty sure that we're moving towards a disclosure moment. That's happening, right? There's an inevitability point that we have to reach that's happening. I would suggest that the most likely condition under which that's going to happen is necessity, desperation, and where, again, one choice outweighs the other, where the old way of doing something is like, well, we have to protect this thing, so we're going to keep society from changing so that the market doesn't crash, or things don't happen. Well, market's crashing, the economy is crashing, so we're already looking at desperate things that we have to do just to keep things going from that state. So I would suggest that as this progresses, and what will progress here is the pandemic will progress, social and civil unrest will progress, military conflict around the world will progress. And then when we're at the point of absolute necessity, that's when we're going to see something happen that will probably be far more interesting and far more shocking and far more, disruptive than what we're seeing now. But in a way that when it sorts itself out will be pretty good when we get on the other end. So we're coming into the entry point of a phase that it's going to look pretty fucked up. I'm just going to be blunt and say it like that. It's going to look pretty fucked up. And it's going to be in certain places way more than others. I tell people who live, I've been telling people all year long before this happened. I was telling people last year, if you live in a major metropolitan area, get the fuck out. You don't want to be there. Go to a small town somewhere. Go somewhere quiet. Get off of the main path. It never hurts to have some extra food and water supplies, but the supply chains are unlikely to be completely disrupted, where people won't be able to get supplies, coming into the stores. Again, larger cities, metropolitan areas, this can be different because of the number of people that have to be served and the way the supply lines can get interrupted. I had talked to a friend yesterday who's in Washington, about an hour and a half out of Seattle. There's some stuff at the store that's just not being restocked on the shelves. I live somewhere that's a bit more remote than that, and I can still go to the store and get stuff. People are making rushes and, got to go get toilet paper on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays because you can't get it 7 days a week right now because people are scared and they're buying all the toilet paper.
Right.
I can still go to the store and get stuff. So the supply lines, while being interrupted and disrupted, are not going to be completely shut off during this process. So it never hurts to have some backup supplies on hand. But for a lot of people, if you're not prepared at this point, too late. It's too late to get prepared. There's not much ability for people to go to the stores and get prepared now because, people are hoarding supplies, and we're finding that that's what's really disrupting the supply chain is not that there are no supplies. It's that people are showing up to the store and buying all the eggs and all the toilet paper and all the hamburger instead of just what they would need for the week, which if everyone still just bought what they needed for the week, there'd still be at the store. So it's the panic and the hoarding factor that's making it look like there's nothing there. So that will be affected. But, basically, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be implemented at the county level, at the state level, the municipal level, regardless of whether the federal government gets their act together and is able to make certain things happen. There are a lot of things will be happening at the local levels to make sure that people have minimum supplies, have food, have water, But there's some places it's going to be harsher than others. That's just what's going to happen. But mostly, really, it's wait for it. Like we're just getting started, just wait for it. What's going to happen? We could see another virus or two. There's one that could be coming out of Africa, another one that could be coming out of Brazil. So this really could only be one of the first virus of 2 or 3 that we could see. For people who are following along in this country, we are super close to right-wing terrorist, extremist, seditionists starting a civil war in this country. Not everywhere, not in all 50 states. If you live in the Virginias or in the Carolinas, it's probably going to be rougher. You're going to see it more present there than some people are going to see it farther west. But New Jersey, I want to say was like first of the year, it was like January. New Jersey said that domestic terrorism was actually their greatest potential threat that they were assessing based on their intelligence reports that they were getting, than foreign terrorism or even random crime. So there are actual assessments that have been done that say that domestic terrorism that is coming from this extreme right-wing movement that wants to start a civil war is coming from, and they're going to have their moment in a weak space when some state governments are feeling weak by the pandemic. They're going to feel emboldened, and they're going to make a move. And when they do, then Civil War 2.0 is going to get on. And right now we have a situation in northern Syria where you have American Army Humvees and Russian Army trucks right alongside each other on the territorial lines, on the border lines, where there's, this is Russian territory and this is, U.S. military territory, right up against each other, throwing rocks and cans and spitting and calling each other names. So there are people on the ground there that are ready to set off a powder keg that could get us and the Russians going at any minute now. And then you've got China flexing its muscles in the South China Seas, including using aircraft to laser paint targets U.S. ships in the ocean, which is an escalation that they have not done before. And then we're sending submarines deep into their territory, surfacing them, going, see, we can surface right off your coast. Be good about this. And then what's happening now is this kind of political battle between the federal government and the Chinese government, where the Chinese government is saying, you started the virus, you sent a bioweapon over here and it's your fault. And we're like, no, it's your virus, it's your fault. And so there's actually some pretty serious heavy finger pointing and blame going around there. So that's the powder keg that could go. Russian is a powder keg that can go. Civil War 2.0 is a powder keg that's going to go. All of this stuff could go off at any minute, but I would suggest that as it gets more chaotic, we're really just getting to the inevitability of that disclosure event, whether peaceful or not peaceful. It's just an inevitability point, and it will happen. So my advice, wait for it.
Wait for it. Now,
be as prepared as you can, be as safe as you can. Like let's be practical here. Be prepared as you can, be as safe as you can. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be hasty. Don't fight with your neighbors. Don't, get into kerfuffles over toilet paper at the supermarket. Be kind to your fellow human beings and your fellow citizens, but wait for it because it's going to get real.
Wow. So, okay. So I wonder if there's some type of technology that could somehow make the situation better. Somehow, some way.
Sure. Rife Machines. Right now, anybody who's got a Rife machine, doesn't have to worry about being killed or being sick by the coronavirus. It's a genetically modified SARS virus. So if you had a Rife machine, you would just set it to basically the SARS virus and then treat the body with frequency to kill the SARS.
Oh, when they came here, it was Randy Cramer. he was gonna save us from the liars. Them lies they told us over and over till the days before you, with the haze of future. We didn't know the answer, and then they came. And now he's back with a chance from his 20 and back. Oh, I hope he's gonna spread his word. Bless your soul, Mr. Randy. Oh, Randy Cramer. It was 17 years on the red planet Mars, spent a long time away from home in a strange and different world. But it made new friends, saw a whole new scene, fighting a war so mean, justified to learn instead of hide, make peace and